The clash on the Marathon Plain in September 490 BCE between the Greeks and the invading Persian forces, led by King Darius III, became legendary as the event where the Greek city-states demonstrated their bravery and prowess, securing their freedom. Despite the fact that the battle merely postponed the Persians' imperialistic goals and larger conflicts ensued, Marathon marked the first occasion the formidable Persian Achaemenid Empire was proven vulnerable. This battle would be immortalized in Greek art forms, including literature, sculpture, architecture, and pottery, as a pivotal and defining episode in Greek history. By the beginning of the 5th century BCE, Persia, ruled by Darius I, was already extending its influence into mainland Europe, having conquered Ionia, Thrace, and Macedonia. Next on King Darius's agenda were Athens and the rest of Greece. The exact reasons for Persia's interest in Greece remain unclear. Wealth and resources appear to be unlikely motives. More credible reasons might include boosting the king's prestige at home or decisively quashing a group of potentially rebellious states on the empire's western frontier. The Ionian Revolt, the symbolic submission of earth and water to the Persian satrap in 508 BCE, and the assault on Sardis by Athens and Eretria in 499 BCE had not been forgotten either. Whatever the precise reasons, in 491 BCE, Darius once again dispatched envoys demanding the Greeks submit to Persian authority. The Greeks responded decisively by executing the envoys, and Athens and Sparta pledged to form an alliance to defend Greece. In retaliation to this affront, Darius launched a naval expedition consisting of 600 ships and 25,000 men to assault the Cyclades and Euboea, bringing the Persians to the brink of invading the rest of Greece. However, in 490 BCE, the invaders met their match when Greek forces, primarily led by Athens, assembled on the plain of Marathon to protect their homeland from foreign domination. The Persian army was commanded by Datis, as Darius did not personally lead the invasion. Artaphernes, Darius' nephew, served as second in command and possibly led the Persian cavalry. The exact size of the Persian army is uncertain, but based on the number of ships, it might have consisted of around 90,000 men. The actual number of combat troops was likely between 20,000 and 25,000, organized into 2 Bivarabam units, with most being archers, and around 2,000 cavalry. The army was composed of soldiers from various states within the empire, with the Persians and Sakai recognized as the most elite fighting units. The Greek forces were led either by the Athenian polemarch Callimachos, also spelled Callimachus, or Miltiades, who had previously served under Darius during the Scythian campaign, providing him with valuable insight into Persian military tactics. The 1,000 Plataeans were commanded by Aramnestos, while the Athenians contributed approximately 9,000 hoplites. The total strength of the Greek force is estimated to have been between 10,000 and 20,000, though it was likely closer to the lower end of this range. The two opposing armies exemplified different approaches to classical warfare. The Persians favored long-range attacks using archers followed by cavalry charges, whereas the Greeks relied on heavily armored hoplites arranged in a densely packed formation called the phalanx. Greek hoplites carried heavy round bronze shields and engaged in close-quarters combat with spears and swords. In contrast, Persian infantry wielded lightweight wicker shields and were armed with long daggers or curved swords, short spears, and composite bows. Typically, those with shields formed a defensive barrier, while archers fired arrows from behind. The Persian army also included elite spear-bearers, organized into units of 1,000. These elite troops had lighter armor than the hoplites, usually consisting of a tunic with bronze scales or a leather cuirass for some, along with colorfully patterned trousers, boots, and a soft hood. The Persian cavalry were equipped similarly to the foot soldiers, carrying bows and 2 javelins for throwing and thrusting. Typically positioned on the flanks of the main battle line, the cavalry's role was to finish off enemy infantry that had been disrupted by repeated volleys from archers. Although the Persian strategy of rapidly firing vast numbers of arrows at the enemy was an impressive spectacle, the lightness of the arrows rendered them largely ineffective against the bronze-armored hoplites. In close combat, the Greek hoplites had significant advantages due to their longer spears, heavier swords, superior armor, and the disciplined rigidity of the phalanx formation. Nevertheless, the Persians could deploy superior numbers, and their reputation as formidable warriors was well-deserved. The Persian force initially landed at Charistos and then Eretria in northern Euboea, sacking both cities before crossing the strait to the eastern end of the Bay of Marathon on September 1st and 2nd. Marathon was selected as an ideal landing site due to its suitable terrain for cavalry operations. The name Marathon likely originates from the wild fennel, Marathos, that grows abundantly on this fertile plain. Additionally, the nearby lake provided a plentiful water supply for both men and horses. The strategic advantages of the location were well known, as Pisistratus had also chosen Marathon for his landing around 546 BCE, when he sought to establish himself as the tyrant of Athens. In the shelter of the Kinosura Peninsula, the Persians established their camp. Upon discovering the invasion point, there was deliberation among the Athenian strategoi or generals regarding whether to remain or confront the invaders. Ultimately, the decision was made to meet the invaders, and the Greeks arrived at Marathon on September 3rd or 4th, establishing their camp near the sanctuary of Hercules at the western end of the bay. They were soon joined by the Plataeans. However, the Spartans, renowned as the finest fighters in Greece, faced delays in their mobilization due to their involvement in the sacred Carnaia festival and possibly dealing with a local revolt by the Messenians. As a result, the Spartans would miss the battle by a day. The specifics of the battle, typical of early 5th century BCE conflicts, remain somewhat vague and conflicting across ancient sources. However, on September 11th, it appears that the Greeks positioned their battle lines in the center of the bay, while the Persians had only disembarked half of their infantry. The Greek formation consisted of a front 8 men deep, with their lines extended to match the Persians, and the center group thinned out to 4 men deep. The Plataeans held the right flank, with the Athenians in the center and on the left. The best Persian and Sakai troops were stationed in the center, perhaps up to 10 men deep, a common Persian tactic. The decision to thin out the Greek hoplites in the center may have been a deliberate strategy by Miltiades or Callimachos to allow the flanks to encircle the Persians as they advanced in the center. Conversely, the Greeks couldn't risk a narrower front than the Persians, as it would expose their flanks to attack from behind, leaving the phalanx vulnerable. The opposing lines of men, invaders, and defenders stretched approximately 1,500 meters long, with a mere 1,500 meters separating them. The absence of the Persian cavalry from the battle scene remains a mystery, with ancient sources and modern historians failing to reach a consensus. It is speculated that Datis may have found it difficult to utilize them effectively due to the scattered trees on the plain, or perhaps he had already dispatched them, or intended to do so, along with other troops towards Athens. This could have been either as an attempt to seize the city while the Greek forces were engaged at Marathon, or the deliberate absence of the cavalry may have been intended to lure the Greek army into battle before the arrival of the Spartans. Eventually, the infantry on both sides entered into battle, moving towards each other amidst possibly the Greeks covering the final 400 meters, undoubtedly under fire from the Persian archers. The two armies collided in a prolonged and bloody struggle, resulting in the weakening of the Greek center and the predictable pushback by the center of the Persians. However, the Greek right and left flanks gained the upper hand, driving back the Persians. As a result, the lines were broken, leading to a chaotic melee. With the Persians now routed on the left and right, they fled toward their ships, though they had to cross a wide marshy area to reach them. In the midst of the confused retreat, the Greek wings closed in on the center and attacked both the Persian center and pursued the fleeing Persian flanks, causing heavy casualties. Fierce fighting ensued around the Persian ships, resulting in the death of Callimachos. The Greeks managed to capture 7 enemy ships, but the remainder of the fleet escaped with any Persians who had managed to board them. The Greeks celebrated a significant victory, with tradition claiming that 6,400 Persians were killed compared to only 192 Greeks. While the former figure is believed to be reasonably accurate, the latter is likely a considerable underestimate, possibly for propaganda purposes. However, the Persians were not deterred. Datis set sail for Cape Sunion, aiming to attack Athens, while the Greek army was away. The Greeks may have been alerted to this plan by a traitor's signal using shields from Mount Pentelicos, unfairly attributed to the Alcmaeonidae clan. Despite their exhaustion, the Greek army hastily marched back to Athens to defend the city. Their arrival under cover of night on the same day seemed to be sufficient to deter the Persians anchored off Phaleron, prompting the fleet to withdraw back to Asia. At this juncture, 2,000 Spartans finally arrived, although their presence was unnecessary, as victory had already been achieved. Following the Battle of Marathon, the fallen were cremated and interred at the site, a rather uncommon practice, with the burial mound still visible today. A commemorative column trophy was erected, with fragments of it now housed in the Archaeological Museum of Marathon. Grateful sacrifices were offered to the gods, notably 500 goats to Artemis Agrotera. Each year thereafter, a ritual sacrifice was performed at the site, a tradition that endured for another 400 years. In honor of Callimachos' role in the victory, the Athenians erected a column and statue of Iris, or Nike, on their Acropolis. Statues and spoils of war were dedicated at the grand sanctuary of Delphi. Renowned sculptor Phidias immortalized the victory in Greek sculpture, creating a bronze group at Delphi, featuring Apollo, Artemis, and Miltiades, as well as a colossal bronze Athena on the Athenian Acropolis. Additionally, a temple dedicated to Artemis Eucleia was constructed in Athens. The Battle of Marathon also inspired sculptural depictions, notably on the south side of the Temple of Athena Nike, around 425 to 400 BCE in Athens. The victory at Marathon served as a tremendous morale boost for the Greeks, leading to the emergence of numerous legends surrounding the events of September. Stories of the mythical Athenian hero Theseus appearing during the battle and the intervention of Pan were among the tales crafted to explain how the Greeks had overcome the formidable Persian army. Additionally, veterans of the battle adopted the emblem of the Bull of Marathon, derived from the Hercules myth, on their shields as a symbol of pride, signifying their role in this monumental victory. Despite the elation among the Greeks following their victory, Persian ambitions remained undeterred by the defeat at Marathon. Within a decade, King Xerxes pursued the vision of his predecessor Darius, amassing a vast invasion force to attack Greece. In 480 BCE, Xerxes advanced through the pass at Thermopylae, where a small contingent of Greeks, led by Spartan king Leonidas, valiantly held the pass for 3 days. Simultaneously, the Greek fleet successfully resisted the Persians at the naval battle of Artemision. These combined efforts bought Greece crucial time and paved the way for subsequent victories. In September 480 BCE, the Greek fleet outmaneuvered the Persians at Salamis, luring them into shallow waters, while in August 479 BCE, at the Battle of Plataea, the Greeks, fielding the largest hoplite army ever seen, emerged victorious, ultimately bringing an end to the Persian wars in Greece. One enduring legend of Marathon, immortalized by Herodotus, revolves around a long-distance messenger named Phidippides. He was dispatched to seek aid from the Spartans before the battle, and ran from Athens to Sparta, covering a total distance of 240 kilometers. A remarkable feat replicated by an athlete in 1983 CE. However, later accounts, beginning with Plutarch in the 1st century CE, merged this tale with another, involving a messenger sent from Marathon after the battle to announce victory and warn of the imminent arrival of the Persian fleet in Athens. Regardless of the confusion, it is from this amalgamation of legends that the modern concept of the marathon race emerged. Covering the same distance as the 42 kilometers between Marathon and Athens, the marathon race was included in the first revival of the Olympic Games in 1896 CE to honor ancient Greek sporting ideals and the original games at Olympia. Appropriately, the inaugural marathon race was won by a Greek athlete named Spiridon Lewis. And so, the story of the Battle of Marathon unfolded this way. This great conflict was more than just a battle between Persian and Greek armies. It was a clash of two civilizations, leaving an indelible mark on history. The victory of Athens became a symbol of democracy and freedom in the Greek world. This triumph bolstered the confidence of the Greek city-states, ultimately laying the groundwork for ideas that would shape Western civilization. However, the Battle of Marathon was not only a military success, but also a symbol of human determination, perseverance, and the belief in freedom. The soldiers who fought at Marathon earned their place in the annals of history through their courage and resolve. Even today, the echoes of the Battle of Marathon continue to inspire humanity. Annual marathon races commemorate this great victory, reminding us of the importance and significance of the struggles and triumphs throughout history. Perhaps this is why, at the end of every marathon race, we can hear a whisper from the depths of history. With determination and courage, every challenge can be overcome. Thank you for joining us in this documentary. We hope that we have conveyed the importance and magnitude of the Battle of Marathon and its effects. If you enjoyed our video, please consider subscribing to our channel, leaving a comment, and giving the video a thumbs up. Until the next documentary, goodbye.